Imagine leaving your doctor's office with more questions about hormone replacement therapy than you went in with. Maybe you were told you're not a good candidate for it, or perhaps you simply want alternatives. The good news? Managing menopause isn't limited to HRT. Join us as we continue our conversation with Dr. Dovile Kalvinskaite to uncover how lifestyle changes alone can bring massive relief from symptoms and what the most important ones are to focus on. Stay tuned for all of this and more in today's episode of the Menowave Lounge, Hot Flashes and Cool Conversations.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Menowave Lounge, Hot Flashes and Cool Conversations. This is a second series that we are talking with Dr. Dovile, and she is just an amazing doctor of lifestyle medicine, OB/GYN, and we are just so amazed to have her. We're so blessed to have her here. And today we're going to be talking about the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine. This is a really interesting conversation.
Last week, in case you missed it, which if you did, please go back and listen to it. We talked all about HRT. I learned so much. But for those of you that missed it, Dr. Dovile Kalvinskaite is originally from Lithuania, but she now works in the UK as Robin said, an obstetrician gynecologist, menopause specialist, and certified lifestyle medicine physician, and is also a certified high performance coach. She's got all of this education to help bring and help us as women go through this menopause process. And so I want to kind of set the scene as we dive right into this. A question that came across in the menopause support group was from a woman who said that she wants to go through menopause au naturel, no hormones, no medication, anything. She wants to know, is that bad for her health in any way? And I like that question because, as we've seen, there are so many women for a variety of reasons. Either they can't or they prefer not to take HRT. And there's also a lot of women who believe that HRT is, by in and of itself, is a one-size-fits-all solution to their menopause symptoms. Is that the case, Dr. Dovile, or is it just one piece in a much bigger puzzle?
So when we approach menopause, there's no one magic pill. It has to be a toolbox. And so the way to think about that toolbox is, first big bucket is lifestyle changes. And lifestyle changes, sleep, nutrition, physical activity, stress management, all those things. So just with lifestyle changes, if we personalize it, if we find what works, it takes a few adjustments. Obviously, it's not overnight fix, but just with lifestyle changes, probably 40% women don't need anything else. That's how effective it is. And I've seen it work really well in my practice. Lifestyle changes can be amazing, magical, and they should always be a first stop in addressing menopause symptoms. Bottom line, non-negotiable. Even in my menopause clinic, I spend more time talking lifestyle than HRT. Like that's my bottom line. And I say, we will talk about HRT, like that's fine, but before that, we have to address these things.
So I love that statistic. I'm sorry to interrupt, but just to say it again for those that maybe didn't catch it the first time, what was the percent?
So 40% of women don't need anything else for their menopause symptoms. The lifestyle changes are enough for that. So 40%. So I'll finish with the toolbox and I'll answer the question is, are we depriving something, not going on HRT? So the second bucket is the supplements, all the herbals and vitamins and whatnot. The industry is really abusing women in menopause with all these magic supplements that fixes menopause. So supplements can be very beneficial when they're personalized, when we're supplementing the lifestyle. They're there to supplement, not to change anything. So we always work with nutrition and lifestyle changes. The supplements can be beneficial, and there are a few that I always recommend, what I call foundation non-negotiables. But that's sort of a smaller bucket. So we add that, some percentage of women that might not be able to have HRT will have some extra benefits from adding those. And then we have the medical treatment, and medical treatment is various medications, hormonal and non-hormonal. So the hormonal is the HRT, and the non-hormonal, there's antidepressants and some other medications that we can use to help control symptoms. So these are sort of 3 big buckets to think about. Now, answering the question about if someone doesn't want to go on HRT just purely by choice, which we definitely support. At the end of the day, it's your body, your choice. And like I said, you can do a lot with lifestyle changes. Absolutely. What we know about HRT, particularly estrogen, like I mentioned in the previous podcast, estrogen is very good at prevention. When we lose estrogen, all our body is affected. So every tissue in our body has estrogen receptors. From your skin, it's not just ovaries and periods or breasts, it's a lot more. So brains, bones, muscles, skin, hair, eyes, every tissue in the body is affected by loss of estrogen. And replacing that estrogen, we know that women on HRT have lower all-cause mortality, so they live longer. And so, for example, very simple fact, the osteoporosis, so fragile bones, HRT reduces that risk, and 50% of women who have osteoporotic fractures, they are preventable. And so if someone has, hip fracture and they're operated, there's still 30% of them will die within 1 year. And if they're not operated on, 70% of them will die within 1 year. And 50% of those are preventable. And obviously heart disease, another big topic. Women are afraid of dying of breast cancer, but only a few percent will develop breast cancer. But 20 to 30% of women will die from heart disease. And estrogen is very good preventing that. So we have to think, what are the risks?
What are the changes that women should focus on?
Yeah, I'll start just telling how I got to that. So lifestyle medicine is actually a new branch of our conventional medicine. So finally, our conventional medicine is starting to recognize the importance of lifestyle and how it affects our long-term health. Lifestyle medicine as a branch was started in 2009, I think. It was in the US. They started to certify people in lifestyle medicine and 2000 in the UK. So it's, as you can see, it's like very sort of fairly new branch. So finally, they're recognizing the importance of nutrition, the physical activity. In med school, probably had a few lectures on nutrition or physical activity, sort of eat less, move more type of thing. That doesn't help anyone. Basically, we learn about the disease, the medication, the surgery, but we don't actually learn how to create health. So that was a really big missing piece. So 3 years ago, I got burnout, basically, with the COVID, working a lot. I never got the COVID, so I was always working, never got some time off. So I really got burned out to the point where I thought, I'm just quitting. I'm quitting medicine. I went to my bosses and I said, I'm done. I'm quitting. I'm giving you my notice. That's how bad I was. I was gaining weight. Obviously, I wasn't sleeping. I was tired. I was like completely exhausted and really wasn't enjoying my job anymore. And fortunately, my bosses were a bit smarter than me at the time. And they said, just take some time off. Just go and rest and then just come back and then we'll have this discussion again. So I took some time off. I went to Spain for a few weeks alone. I think it was like a month. And then I got COVID. So I had another couple of weeks. So I have a month and a half off work. And that really helped to reset and recover. And then I came back and I thought, this is not sustainable. I have to do something. And I started looking into the ways to help myself improve lifestyle and other things. And I changed the way I work. So now I work only part-time in a hospital. So I adjusted my hours to fit my lifestyle a bit more. And I had a colleague who was a lot in lifestyle. She was like very active, doing fasting, keto, all kind of things. Like she's amazing. We're still best friends. And she said, there's this lifestyle medicine certification, the exam that you can do. I was like, okay, let's do that. Along the line, I was still learning those hacking, health optimization, sort of alternative things. And now together with the lifestyle medicine, I have so many different things. Like if something doesn't work, I have something else for you to try. So lifestyle medicine, it's an official certification and it has 6 pillars. So it's nutrition, it's physical activity, it's sleep, stress management, substances, so alcohol, smoking, drugs, addressing those, and then positive relationships, which is a super, super important part in our health. We definitely should never forget how your relationship affects us. That's another important part, community. It's not only your partner, but it's the community and having that support. So that's also very important. So lifestyle medicine addresses all these, and now applying all of that together with OBGYN, the medical knowledge, now I finally feel I can offer a proper healthcare consultation, which is actually a healthcare and not just sick care.
I love that. I love that. Applause, applause, applause. That is so wonderful because these are important. And like you said, 40% of women making these changes can really come a long way in feeling better. So talking about those 6 pillars, let's kind of dive in. I think a lot of women are like, oh yeah, great nutrition, la, 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 whatever. I know all this stuff, but they don't think they really know it, because I know that I can pretend that I know what I'm supposed to do nutrition wise or exercise wise. And I don't, even though I think I do. So let's start with nutrition. What are some things that women at this stage need to be aware of?
So I will give very sort of practical advice for each, but let me start with a story which might help them to listen through the pillars. So I had a patient come to me one time. She was already on HRT and quite reasonable, all the right things that she's supposed to be. I adjusted HRT a bit, just sort of some minor tweaks, but she came into my office crying, completely still miserable, saying, I'm ready to step in front of the car. I'm that miserable. And she's already on everything. Like she lost her hope. So, okay, I adjusted her HRT a little bit, but then she was the last patient on my list. And I spent probably an hour and a half just talking about the lifestyle, just trying to find the things that would fit her and what she could do. She came back 5 months later. She did everything. She followed every step we discussed. So obviously one thing is me telling what to do, but she actually followed through. She said her life is like 90% changed, 90% different. She's going out with friends to concerts. She's sleeping well. She said, I could stay in my bed. I sleep so well. She was so happy. She was actually going out with girls, and her life completely changed. And that was such an encouragement. It was mainly the lifestyle changes that made 90% of the difference to how she felt, from stepping in front of the car to now going out with friends to concerts.
Wow.
So it's so important, and it's so effective if you actually stick to it and you do what works for you. So I think the bottom line from all the lifestyle changes would be personalized care. So you have to find what works for you. We're all different. So for some, one things might work better, for others, some others. So I will tell sort of the main things that work for most, and sort of the main sort of principles, but still you would have to find, vegetarian or vegan or carnivore. I wouldn't subscribe to one particular diet. Obviously, Mediterranean diet has the most evidence as being the most healthy one, but any diet you can make work if you apply the main principles that I will go through. Let's start with a bit of nutrition and a bit of exercise, meaning that the main thing to focus in menopause, or if you're thinking longevity, is your muscle mass. If you don't take anything else from this, it's keep your muscle mass as high as possible and focus. We start losing our muscle from age around 40, about 7 to 8%, and then after menopause about 10%, sometimes even 15% in 10 years, which is a massive reduction in muscle mass. Once we lose muscle mass, our risk of diabetes increases because we lose active metabolic tissue. We start gaining weight a lot faster. Our metabolic rate slows down because we exchange fat with muscle, and the fat is not as active. And our bones are not protected. For our bones to be stimulated and growth, we need that muscle to stimulate it. And obviously mobility and enjoying life, quality, that's super important. So do whatever you want, but focus on preserving that muscle and ideally building that muscle. So you need two things. You need building blocks, that's protein from nutrition, and you need physical exercise, that's your weightlifting. Not cardio, not HIIT, but weightlifting to build your muscle. Non-negotiables, keep your muscle mass. So from nutrition, you need a high protein diet. And what I mean by high protein, it's about 1.6 grams per kilogram, or in pounds, it would be 1 gram per pound of your ideal body weight. So you decide what's your ideal body weight, and you calculate that number for that body weight. So 1 gram per pound or 1.6 grams per kilogram of your ideal body mass. So that's probably about 30 to 40 grams with each meal. And you divide that in equal portions throughout the day. So breakfast, lunch, dinner. So 30 to 40 grams approximately with each meal. The reason being that you need a certain amount of protein to start stimulating your muscle effectively. So the total amount of protein per day is important, but optimizing for that it would be ideal to divide it in those equal portions. So protein, you get protein from meat, from dairy, from eggs, those kind of things. If it's difficult to get it from food, protein shakes, don't see any problems with that. For example, even for myself, if I'm in a rush in the morning, I just have a protein shake with a fruit or something. You find how to work it in your life and adjust to it for your lifestyle and all that. But protein, no negotiable.
Do these numbers change with age? As you're getting older, do you need as much protein? And
yeah, so for example, someone who's very young, they can build muscle more efficiently with less protein just because they're younger and the way their body works. So as we age, that amount of getting adequate amount of protein becomes more important because our muscles become less efficient in building that muscle mass. That's very simply speaking, not like very medical terms, but the standard recommended guidelines is like 0.8 grams per kilogram. So it's like not even close to what I'm talking. And those are sort of to keep your sort of bare minimum amount of health. This is not for muscle building. And so another big myth then would come, oh, if I get too much protein, I will block my kidneys or something bad will happen with kidneys. That's nonsense. You don't have to limit your protein up until stage 4 end stage renal disease. So actually up to stage 3, actually it even improves your kidney function. Obviously, if you have severe kidney disease, talk to your doctor. But for us, for normal people with no significant other health issues, you cannot have too much protein. It's absolutely fine, and you need more protein to stimulate that muscle. And between 1.2, 1.6 is ideal, even up to 2.2 for bodybuilders or even more. But 1.6, I think, is a good number to focus on.
Okay, so you just put a lot of numbers out there, and I'm trying to register it. Okay, so I'll use myself and just say, okay, I'm a lady I'm 61 and I weigh about 165 pounds. So for me, how much protein would that be?
Let me open my calculator. So what's your ideal body weight? Is
my ideal body weight would probably be like 155 to maybe 160. So I'm about 10 pounds, that horrible last 10 pounds that we all try to get off all the time. I would love to go down to 150, 155.
Yeah, so you're about 70 kilograms, so your ideal body weight, and 1.6 would be about 100. Let me just double check. 1.6. Yeah, so 112 grams of protein. So let's say 120 grams of protein. So that would be 40 grams with each meal.
40 grams. So when I'm thinking about 40 grams, what might that protein be? Like, is that 2 eggs?
Yes. Yeah. So one egg has about 6-7 grams of protein. One egg.
Yeah, I'd have to eat 4 eggs.
Well, you can skip 2 of the egg whites from 4 eggs. So the egg white.
That could be
100 grams of chicken breast has about 30 grams of protein, or any meat is quite dense in protein. For obviously lentils, plant-based proteins, you probably need to eat a bit more in terms of amount. So the best way to do that is to choose any app that tracks macronutrients or calories, but not to track calories, but just for a few days, track, your food, and it will calculate how much protein, fiber, and stuff you're getting. So you have an idea what you're getting now from your food, and then you can adjust based on that.
Okay.
A question on that, because weight gain is a concern with a lot of women.
Yeah.
So we're trying to balance getting enough protein so that we can build our muscles and protect our bodies in that way. That said, though, then there's that whole calories in, calories out. What happens when the calories...
When you're eating adequate amount of proteins, you will feel more satiated, more full. You will not want to snack more. And so let me finish and I'll come back to that.
Okay.
So protein is the foundation. Then the second as important thing is fiber. So with our diets, standard diets, we probably get about 10-12 grams of average of fiber. We need at least 25-30 grams per day. That's probably a pound of vegetables, if speaking very simple terms. So obviously you get fiber from more than vegetables, from nuts and grains and whatnot. So again, tracking what you're eating now for a few days just to know where you are. And then building on that, I think that's very helpful. So fiber is super important for everything, but mostly is for your gut health. And your gut health, as we know now, your whole health is affected from brains to heart to everything. So you need to feed your good bacteria, and you need to address your gut health issues. And so that's your fiber, both soluble and non-soluble fiber. So the solubles is to feed the bacteria, the non-solubles is to push everything and make it regular. Yeah. So your gut metabolizes your hormones. So even how effective HRT is going to be, or your current hormones, depends on your gut health. So HRT is not going to be even as effective if you're not addressing your gut health. Obviously, it's simplifying a lot, but that's how I explain to patients. It's like you need to take care of your gut health, because really your mental health and the serotonin, 90% of serotonin, happy hormone, is made in the gut. Your gut is important. Please address the gut, and that's going to help with your weight issues as well. Also, if you eat your vegetables, your greens first, and then you eat your protein, your good fat, and then you at the end eat the carbs, in that way the emptying of the stomach is slowed down. You will not feel hungry soon. You will not want to snack. You will feel energy throughout the day. And if you eat lots of protein with each meal, you will not want to come and snack overnight. It just will keep sustainable energy levels and keep you full. It's difficult to overeat on meat, and you just feel more full faster. So if you eat in that order and you prioritize first protein, even without counting calories, it will be a lot easier to get the calorie deficit, or at least not to go into too much surplus, or not want to snack on those candies.
Love it. Does intermittent fasting make a difference?
Yeah, absolutely. So intermittent fasting, there's lots of studies to show how good it is to reducing inflammation in the body. In terms of weight loss, it works quite well for quite a few women, particularly if you tried everything else and you're plateauing. So just doing that intermittent fasting sometimes does the trick. So my favorite protocol is 16-8, where you fast for 16 hours and you eat in that 8-hour window. Make sure you're getting your fiber and protein in that window. That's still non-negotiable, even if you're eating in shortened period. Intermittent fasting actually helps with those with brain fog as well. So that's another good thing. It kind of clears your mind once you get into that. And you don't have to start with the 16-hour fast. You can build up. You start with 12 and then you do 13, 14. You just slowly, add like 15, 30 minutes every few days. So you can slowly adapt to that. But once you into that, it's so easy. I've done that for a few years now, and it's just so easy. I don't even think about food, and the energy levels you have are very good. So yes, it can be very good for some.
That's really interesting, because that ties in with two of the 6 pillars, which is nutrition and exercising. And then what ties into that is if we're eating properly, like what we're talking about, we're going to sleep so much better, especially with the exercise balancing out the nutrition, and that helps with our sleep. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. So exercise and regular exercise, obviously nutrition, even controlling your hot flashes. We know that weight training, walking, yoga, those are the best exercises to help with hot flashes and night sweats, and they improve sleep quality. Just don't exercise too close to sleep. Leave at least like 3 hours to that, because it increases your core temperature and then it might disrupt your sleep a little bit. But overall, it will improve. It will improve your sleep and menopause symptoms, definitely. So going to the exercise then, the resistance training, the weight training. But any exercise is better than no exercise, even if it's 3 or 5 minutes. If someone's like completely inactive and sort of feels overwhelmed, oh, now I have to go and lift weights in the gym for like 3, 4, 5 times a week. Like, no, you start with walking, you start with 5-10 minutes, or you start with a kitchen workout while boiling your eggs for your breakfast, or boiling your coffee. You do some exercise, some jumps or some squats or some push-ups from the counter. Like, do whatever you can do. For some, if have like severe joint problems, even just sitting from a chair and standing up, sitting down, standing up, just like doing that kind of thing for a few minutes, just to increase your heart rate. Start somewhere. Start with minimal things, even if it's just 3 minutes per day. Or there's like exercise snacks. So 1 to 3 minutes of, let's say, 1 minute of something, where you increase your heart rate, like a quick sprint or some jumping jacks or something. And you do that 3 times a day. There was even a study to show that it reduces your risk of mortality like 30%, like some crazy numbers. Like exercise snacks, just do something. Like anything is better than nothing. That's the rule. So then you go for a walk, especially going for a walk after you eat. It reduces your insulin spikes. Again, that's very good for your diabetes risk reducing and your calories in and out. So just going for a walk, building from there. There's lots of free resource, like YouTube is full of crazy things, like even with you starting with your body weight at home, exercises with your body weight, even 5-10 minute workout, quick home workouts, just type it in YouTube. It will show you what to do. And then obviously you build up from there. So you can have some weights at home, or even just put a backpack full of books or some heavy stuff, go for a walk with a heavy backpack. So you start somewhere. And then obviously the weight training 3 times a week would be ideal, at least, 20-30 minutes. You can do it up to like 45 minutes. Don't need to do more than that 3 times a week. If you can, you do more. Walking is great. Cardio is good, but I wouldn't focus like too much, especially if you don't like it, especially in the period where you're building new habits. Find something that you enjoy. Dancing, oh my God, such an amazing exercise, not only for your body, but for your brain and keeping that cognitive function, because it involves balancing and remembering different dance. Like, it's such an amazing exercise. So do something that you enjoy doing. Find something that you can stick to, even on your worst day. I don't want to give, now do 150 minutes, this and this, per week of this and this, like, and go to gym 5 times a week. Like, no, just do something that you can stick to regularly and lift weights, carry something heavy. Don't be afraid of weights. You will not become bulky. That's impossible. It's impossible unless you really, really train, but you will not become bulky. You're losing muscle. You need to keep that muscle, and it's never too late to start. I was watching, on Instagram yesterday, like 89-year-old lady doing a deadlift, like, that's just impressive. And then the other 90-year-old woman hitting a world record on swimming. It was just like in her age category, like, oh my God, it's just like, it's just beautiful. It's never too late to start. Find something that you enjoy doing.
I really like that you said exercise snack. I hadn't heard that term before, but you're so spot on that. And I do tell my clients the same thing. It's just start somewhere. If it's walking, if it's moving, if it's dancing. I love dancing because that just ties in with your emotional and spiritual connection as well. Dancing does. But these are all things that, oh my gosh, if you're in any kind of anxiety or depression, movement is the answer. Just moving just lifts your spirits and makes you so much happier.
So many health benefits, not only for your muscle, but mental health benefits, sleep benefits, the menopause symptom control benefit, like moving. It's so important. Like I said, even if it's 3 minutes, even if it's just an exercise snack, do it regularly. Quickly going through other ones, sleep. I think if we can address sleep, we probably would fix most of the issues, because if you're deprived of sleep, your brain is not working, you're miserable, and then you don't know if it's menopause or it's just because you didn't sleep. So addressing sleep, and obviously the usual sleep hygiene, dark bedrooms, no blue screens, but trying to get some natural light in the morning. So first thing in the morning, going outside, even if it's cloudy. So if it's sunny, 5 minutes is probably enough. If it's cloudy, 15-20 minutes. So getting that sun, natural light, even through the clouds, stimulates, resets your circadian rhythm, resets your melatonin to be released in the evening at the right time. So getting that angle of light and first thing in the morning, super important. Same in the evening, just watching the sunset. Again, the way the angle of the sun comes into your eyes really helps to set all those right rhythms in light. Obviously, don't stare with your unprotected eyes straight into the sun, but also don't wear sunglasses in the morning. Just don't stare at the sun. So getting natural light, dark bedroom, cool bedroom, sheets and pajamas, especially if you're night sweating, like even wearing like sports clothes which absorbs sweat, fans, those are important. Screens, yeah, I think it's our addiction, isn't it? But screens really disrupt that melatonin and effect. So at least 1 hour of no screens before bed. Regular exercise and nutrition will definitely help support your sleep as well. I wrote the whole article on sleep and sleep tools on Medium, which like very specific tools. If someone wants to read more, I can share. There's lots of things you can do, and I think we often get overwhelmed. Many women that come are on some sleeping pills or asking for sleeping pills. Sleeping pills don't give you a real sleep. It's basically like if someone punched you in the face and you're knocked out, or you're knocked out from alcohol, you're not getting real sleep. You're just knocked out. Your brain is not getting that rest. Actually, if you need some sort of medical help with sleep, HRT is definitely going to help with sleep, especially progesterone, because our sleep patterns are directly affected with the hormones. So if nothing helped, the HRT often is very good if you can take it or want to take it. But if you don't want to take HRT, don't opt for sleeping pills. The CBTI, so cognitive behavioral therapy for sleep, for insomnia, is actually more effective and lasts long term compared to sleeping pills. There are studies, and it should be first line. And if when you go to speak to your doctor about the sleep issues, if they offer you first sleeping pills before they offer you CBTI, you need a new doctor. Like, it shouldn't be a first line treatment.
Okay, you just said something. CTBI.
CBTI, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. Yeah, so it's specific tools, specific therapy to address your sleeping patterns. There's actually apps where you can self-guide through those exercises, and retrains you and retrains your sleeping pattern if you follow it through. Or you can have one-to-one face-to-face type of consultation with a therapist who specializes in cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. So there's lots of online resources, but also one-to-one if nothing else works. But that's way more effective, way more beneficial than sleeping pills will ever be. Sleeping pills will help you temporarily to get that. I mean, they have their place if we are giving it for you in sort of emergency where you had maybe some event in life and you just need to get sleep for a short time. But we always have to have a plan when to stop, how to stop, and how soon can we stop, and what we do after. Like, yeah, so sleeping pills, really hate them. Sorry to say that. Really increases your mortality risk overall, really affects your brain function. So it's a big no for me.
What are some of the other things that go along with sleep or the 6 pillars?
Okay, so the next one would be stress management. That's another big topic. And I know I said muscle is the most important, then I said sleep is the most important, and now I will say that the stress management is equally as important. So stress management, the yogas, the meditation, the breath work, the just finding the time for yourself, the setting the boundaries, all of those things matter. But important to understand stress and chronic stress, and particularly with perimenopause, menopause, the anxiety, the panic attacks, the low moods, they really affect our health and our longevity. And I would say probably 80-90% of chronic disease is stress related and caused by stress and chronic elevation of those stress hormones. So anything we can do to reduce that even a little bit, ideally some daily practice. It doesn't have to be sitting in Zen mode for hours. It can be as little as 5 or 10 minutes. So finding space for that and finding how to reduce that, and just enjoying and finding that time for ourselves, super important. So the way I discuss this part with my patients is probably I tell what I do. What I do, even on the most busy day, when I drive to work, before I step out of the car, I do 10-minute meditation. If I don't have time, it will be 5, but like 10 minutes, I just drive in a bit early. So finding those 5-10 minutes to fit into your life where you can do it regularly is going to be really effective. And there was this study where they checked what's the shortest amount of meditation that affects your stress hormones, and they did blood tests. And that was, I think, from last year from Stanford. 13 minutes of daily meditation for 8 weeks reduce your stress hormones like up to, I think, like 50%, some ridiculous number, like 13 minutes every day for just 8 weeks. There was another one where they were looking even like shorter things, what can be effective, and they compared the breath work, the meditation, and what they found, the 5 minutes of physiological sigh, so where you inhale through your nose twice, so long inhale, another inhale on top, and then long exhale through the mouth, like through thinly pursed lips, like through a straw. So this is called physiological sigh. You do that for 5 minutes. Again, If you do that daily, it's going to significantly reduce your stress hormones after those couple of months. Even just doing that kind of breath where you long exhales, even 2-3 breaths in the moments of chaos, that's going to be helpful just to kind of reset your nervous system. So finding those tools, what works for you. Another one that I really love is Yoga Nidra. So Yoga Nidra is the sleep yoga, so kind of guided relaxation sort of meditation. It actually restores your brain sort of neurotransmitters and restores you better than taking a nap in the afternoon. So if you have, 10, 20, 30 minutes and you're thinking, oh, should I take a nap? Just do Yoga Nidra. If you fall asleep, it's fine. It's still working.
I'm a hypnotist, and one of the
Mhm.
side effects of no matter what we're working on, when a client emerges from the session and they have not been asleep, hypnosis is not sleep, but it is that
Yeah.
relaxing of the mind.
Yeah.
So they come out of it and they feel like they've woken up from a really good nap. But that's what I advise people. That's what I tell people as well. So I actually have a long recording for that. Mine's about 30 minutes, but it's the next best thing to taking a
Yeah.
nap.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Yoga Nidra or NSDR, non-sleep deep rest, or what you're saying. So these kind of deep relaxation modes, they really restore your brain better. So, and in the middle of the night, if you're not able to fall asleep, just listen to some Yoga Nidra is going to be better than tossing and turning in bed. And actually doing Yoga Nidra or NSDR regularly, it actually improves your sleep, overall sleep quality. It improves your memory, your focus. It kind of facilitates the neuroplasticity, so rewiring of your brain. It's so good for you. So I always say I give these a few tools. Just pick one, start with like 5 minutes, or just do a deep breath, like that physiological side type of breathing, and start from there.
That is so amazing. We could talk about just this topic for a long, long time because it's also the vibrational frequencies that
Oh,
heal.
absolutely. Yeah.
And Marty and I were just having this conversation on the vibrational, different types of music that has vibrations that can heal and reduce stress and anxiety. We're kind of rolling around with a few of them, and people just don't even understand how important that those vibrations, that vibrational music or drum or rhythm can restore your health, your sleep, reduce your stress, reduce your anxiety. And I think that we need to pay more attention to that in our life.
No, absolutely. I would agree. Music, the vibration, what you say, binaural beats, or just going and enjoying nature, like just forest bathing, breathing. So actually being in nature, it improves your gut microbiome or just microbiome in general, just breathing in, stepping with your bare feet on the ground, the grounding practices. There's like actual evidence how good it is for your health. Like just put your feet in the ground, just go in nature, just go for a walk. Don't listen to anything, just enjoy the sounds of nature. That simple things. It doesn't have to be fancy meditations. If you don't want to do anything, just go for a walk and put your bare foot on the ground. That's
I love
it.
that you said forest bathing, because a real quick story. My husband and I had gone to Michigan back in October for a wedding, and then we were taking a couple of days just to explore the Upper Peninsula, which is beautiful, and there's a lot of forests, and there's the water. And we were traveling, and my husband left his antidepressants at home, and long story, couldn't get any emergency refill or anything on our trip. And I know he has about 3 days before he starts being severely impacted by it. And day 3 comes, and we just take a drive. We just stop. We're at the state park, and we said, you know what? Let's just do a really nice quick walk. And it was about a mile, and it was the most glorious walk. It's a different type of trees than we have here in Colorado. I mean, we have the canopy of the trees, but it was really the first time for me that I allowed myself to experience the magic that comes with and the peace that comes with in the forest and communicating with the trees and healing with the trees. I'm just enjoying this beautiful walk. And at the end of that, my husband felt so much better. He felt calmer. He felt more at peace. It's like a whole different person just for that. I think it took us an hour to do the sightseeing thing, but forest bathing and really feeling that healing power of trees. And so I've been paying more attention to it when I go out on my walks, the music I listen to, and it's solfeggio frequencies are the
Yes.
you can find it on YouTube or
Yeah.
Spotify or whatever. But I'll do that. But just being in the trees, there's a stand of oak trees that I like to sit on my rock to ground myself. It is beautiful. I highly recommend people experience that. It doesn't take anything. You just sit there and just take it in. And it's beautiful. So thank you for sharing that and bringing that up.
That's a great time to do a little meditation,
Mhm.
and that allows you to calm your mind, and it allows you to clear your mind, and it just transforms you and re-energizes you. And for me, I come out more peaceful and serene, and I can go into the woods and I can just drop and leave whatever stress is on my mind, and I walk out and I'm a new person. So yeah, it's amazing.
No, absolutely. I love nature. I don't need city trips. I just need nature. I grew up in a small village. I grew up surrounded by forest, lakes, and yeah, nature is the best medicine that there is. So going further with the next pillars, alcohol and smoking can even make your menopause come earlier, makes your menopause symptoms worse, disrupts your sleep, particularly alcohol, particularly close to bed, even one glass. We often tolerate alcohol worse with age. That's another thing that's quite common. Women come, they don't tolerate alcohol at all, which is, I don't think it's a bad thing if you don't drink anymore because of that. Not saying you have to now go completely stop everything and not enjoy that glass of wine ever again, but being mindful. So alcohol, even 2 units a week regularly, increases your risk of breast cancer more than HRT does. So like I mentioned, HRT, that 1 extra case in 1,000, regular alcohol, at least 2 extra cases per 1,000. So have that in mind. Excessive weight increases your risk of breast cancer as well, more than HRT, a lot more. No physical activity, again, increases that cancer. So HRT and talking about breast cancer is like we talked in the previous podcast. There are other things that increases your risk of breast cancer way more than the HRT. So alcohol is one of those things. Even small amounts, if we're doing it regularly, increases our risks for that. And like I said, makes your menopause symptoms worse, especially hot flashes, the heart palpitations, anxiety, those kind of things. Really, even 1 glass, if some people, say, oh, I'll just have a glass before I sleep. I sleep better. I fall asleep quicker. Actually, it disrupts your sleep. Even if you think you're sleeping, your deep sleep is affected. You're not sleeping as deep as you could. You have micro awakenings. Your sleep is disrupted. You do that long term, and long term of sleep deprivation affects our health, cancer risk, and every other possible risk that you can imagine. So if you do have a glass of wine, try not to have it too close to sleep, 3-4 hours. So that makes it, middle of the day, glass of wine rather than evening. I mean, once in a while on the weekends, social occasions, it's fine, but just try to make it not regular thing. Mm-hmm. Smoking, again, might make your symptoms worse, and finding ways how to quit that would be ideal.
Hypnosis is an excellent.
Oh yes, hypnosis is actually more effective than the medication for smoking, for quitting smoking. So hypnosis, definitely, even 1 session is at least 25% effectiveness just after 1 session of hypnosis. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what we learn actually in lifestyle medicine when doing for exam. Hypnosis is one of the effective tools.
I love you. Thank you for saying that. That's what I've been trying to tell people. Like, oh, I just want to get on the Chantix. I just want to get on the medication. And yeah, no. 1 session is very, very powerful. I recommend with my clients, especially for people who are like, well, how the hell am I going to manage stress without it? Like, I will kill everybody in sight if I can't have this. There are other things that we can do, and that rolls around into like the stress part of it that hypnosis is also really good for. But yes, what I tell people is, 30% of the clients that come to me will quit smoking that 1 time. And they'll be done with it. They never think about it again. Or they'll be like my mom. They'll be like, oh, I used to do that. I used to smoke. That'll be fine. There'll be another 30% that they're like, I'm still smoking. They leave and they light up again. That is not a failure. That is not a failure of anything. That's not a failure of hypnosis. It's not a failure of you. It's not a failure of the person you're working with. All that means is that there's more work to be done. That means that your subconscious mind needs a little extra convincing that smoking is the end-all be-all solution for everything that ails us. That's all that means. And I would have people come back. Maybe it took 1 more session, maybe it took another couple of sessions to work through whatever that might be. And there's tools to identify what that is and to work with. And then there's a final 33% or so that are like, Okay, I don't feel like smoking. I feel like I think this is working. I think this is good. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I just thought about smoking. Oh, so I need a cigarette. Oh, I'm thinking about a cigarette. Does that mean that this didn't work? Let me go grab one. And it's like, no, we don't want to do that. First 33, one and done. You need more. That's fine too. Do not freak out. The 30, we're ready to let that go. We will. But yes, thank you for saying on the hypnosis, because it is such a powerful tool and it is so much easier. And I'll share at the end where to find out more about that. But yeah, for smoking, hypnosis.
The last pillar that I mentioned, positive relationships. If your health is okay, but you're lonely, you don't have your community, your eyes feel isolated, or you're struggling, you have some issues with your relationship, you're not enjoying your life. And what we know, the loneliness is worse for your long-term health and longevity than smoking, not sleeping, and all the bad food that you eat combined. The loneliness and lack of that community, that connection. So finding a community and feeling that sense of belonging and building friendships, joining a book club or whatever, where you feel you can find the people that you can connect to, is so important. Or going dancing with people. You hit a few pillars just there: stress management, the exercise, the community. So you can combine these things and going for dinner with friends and making that time and not isolating yourself. It's very easy when you're miserable, you don't have energy and you just want to isolate yourself from everyone. Very easy to get into that rut. Or just having a conversation on the phone, just not isolating yourself is so important.
I just want to add a little something to positive relationships, just to expound on that. Positive relationships, if you're in a marriage or a relationship where you're not happy, or there's a lot of stress because of marital issues, or recognizing that, number one, that you need to have an outlet and be able to do something for yourself, as in self-care, is so important. Because I talked to a lady just recently, and she was talking about her marriage and how unhappy she is and how unhappy her husband is. And this is all tying into her menopause symptoms, because she's not the same person she was even 10 years ago, when she had a lot more energy and that sort of thing. And so one of the things that came out of that conversation was being able to do like a reset for the marriage. And because sometimes our relationships get stale and the kids have moved out, or maybe you've made a big move, or maybe there's health issues, and taking that and turning it around. And so that you do like a reset, you find new common interests, you have that date night with your spouse, you look at them in different ways, you try to have lighthearted conversations, you exercise together, take those long walks, maybe take a vacation that's like a second honeymoon, types of things. Those are all tools to re-energize and bring back positivity into your relationship. If you're single and you're not happy, you're lonely, definitely there are so many opportunities and online groups right now that can support and encourage you. And also too, if you're wanting to learn more tools, work with a life coach. They're supportive, they're encouraging, they can help you see things in a different way. They can help you make transitions into new parts of your life that you never thought that you had. And so I love all these pillars because they work together and they help to balance. And I'm a really big person about balancing your whole lifestyle, because it's not just one, it's not a magic pill, it's not just do that, do this, and then everything magically becomes perfect again. No, you have to work on it, and working on it helps to create that balance. And so when you're out of balance, you can see clearly where it is. It's like, oh, I need to increase my sleep, I need to cut back on my alcohol consumption so I can sleep better, I need to add more protein, I need to balance it out while talking to my doctor about where my health is. Do I need more exercise? So when you start putting all these pieces together, all these pillars together, then you can definitely see how it's going to strengthen your life, your lifestyle. It's going to bring peace and health to your lifestyle. You are not powerless, you are powerful. And these are the steps to help you become empowered over your life.
No, I completely agree. And just to add on that, obviously, finding that positivity in your relationships, and what you were mentioning, very important. But also what we know, that probably divorce rate is increased around menopause, and that's probably for two reasons. One, sometimes they just don't feel supported and they cannot find that positivity, so lack of support, lack of understanding. And sometimes women just recognize that they reset their boundaries and they want something different. That's also not a bad thing. You still have quite a few decades of life ahead of you, and you can create it in whatever way you want. And if that's finding a new relationship, or exiting the old one that's not working for you and you're done suffering, that's great too. It's powerful years ahead of you, and menopause is inevitable, but suffering is not. So you can create and make those years whatever you want them to be.
Exactly.
You get to choose what the next
Yes.
30 years look like for us.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like at least 40% of our life we spend in perimenopause, menopause. Like it's a significant portion of our life, and only 100% of women go through it. It's not only people with ovaries that are affected, but people who love them and support them as well. And we haven't even discussed how it affects your work. Like 60% women think about quitting their work, 10% actually quit their work just because of menopause symptoms, another 10% they don't go for promotions because they're overwhelmed, the anxiety, the brain fog, the memory things, and they get stuck in the positions. And we're talking about experienced women in advanced levels of their career quitting jobs. We're losing actually people, but also they're losing their income, they're losing their confidence, their goals. Another 40%, they go for long-term sickness, and they're afraid to say so because there's so much stigma.
Right.
So it's so important to talk about these things, and work. We spend so much time at our works and goals, and how we make difference in the world. And if we cannot do that, if the menopause symptoms take that away, so that's why addressing these symptoms with lifestyle and having all these tools in this toolbox is so important to make those other areas of our lives work.
Yes. So true. I love this topic because this is my specialty when I'm coaching, is helping people to develop these tools in their toolbox. And I love all these different things because we could talk about them even into another episode, because they're so important, because this is our life. Marti, any takeaways for you?
What a wonderful, wonderful conversation. And this is just part 2. You're not going to want to miss what we talk about next. We're going to go more into talking about, now that we know so much more about HRT and the lifestyle changes, now how do we go and speak to our doctor about this and really advocate for ourselves? We're also going to address a bunch of questions that Dovile has received in the menopause support group. You're not going to want to miss that. We just seemed like it would be a really good idea for us to sit down and talk about them and give them the attention that they deserve. If you are struggling with any of these pillars, don't suffer alone. There are practitioners in this group who can help. As we mentioned, I am a hypnotist. If you are struggling with the pillar of quitting smoking, or if you have another bad habit that's substance related, reach out to me. You can visit my website, Smoke Free U. That's smokefree and the letter U.com. Talk more about how hypnosis works for smoking and what you can do about it. If you're struggling with the stress or anxiety piece of it, or reducing that, hypnosis is also an excellent tool and it can be combined with or without the smoking cessation. So you can reach me at my website, martidaly.com. But first, we want to go back to Dovile. How can women reach to you if they have a question for you?
So I'm on the Menopause Support, the Facebook group. That's a big one. I'm on Facebook, the Instagram, at Dovile MD, my handle. I have my website, so it's Dovivita, so like Vita for life, dovivita.com. I'm in a process of creating some free resources, some educational email courses. I'm obviously, between the hospital work and all other things, I'm doing like education for corporates as well, and I'm planning to start doing some workshops and more of education that I'm trying to reach as many people as possible. I'm writing articles on Medium, so medium.com. So drop me a message wherever you find me. I do coaching, high performance coaching, and I combine with menopause and lifestyle. So high performance coaching is addressing all the areas of life, and even finding clarity, purpose, the psychology, the mindset, the physiology, which is health part. So basically making your life work in all the areas and sustainably be a high performer. So particularly midlife work-related problems, that's usually very effective. And my final thoughts would be, talk about it. and tell your story and make this conversation normal and reduce the stigma and talk not only with your friends or your girlfriends or your partners, but people at work, or just make it a normal conversation. And with the next podcast, we'll address the issue how to talk to your doctor, and that's going to be interesting as well. So really looking forward to that.
Wonderful. Robin, any
Thank
final
you.
thoughts for you as far as how to reach you?
Yes, thank you. We have so enjoyed our conversation today. And once again, my coaching specialty is working with women that are going through transformational situations in their life. It could be relationships. It could, you've made a move, emptying, leaving your work. What are you doing now? How are you balancing your health? And these are so important because they beat us down every day. And in working with me, you get a chance to develop these new tools in your toolbox. You get a chance to reset your mindset and just improve the quality of your life. My business is mindbodycoaching.biz, B-I-Z. I didn't get the C-O-M, but it's mindbodycoaching.biz. And I'm also one of the care providers in the menopause support group. I do have a Facebook and Instagram under Body Mind Coaching, and reach out in different ways. I have some wonderful free information on all these different topics that I talk about. And I'm just so blessed to be here with so many wonderful ladies that just have such a heart for giving and helping. And that's why we're here. We do it because it's a love, it's a passion for us, So I just want to, wrap all this up and say, thank you for joining us on the Menowave Lounge podcast, Hot Flashes and Cool Conversations. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us today on the Menowave Lounge. Don't